The O-ring technique is like this. It's simple. It's you put your two fingers together like that into a lock, and you try to pull them apart. And when the answer is yes, as hard as you pull, they won't come apart. And when the answer is no, they fly apart, or they come apart, and you cannot hold them together. You've got much more force in your hands than you can. But if your answer is yes, there's nothing you can do to break that lock. And that's the essence of the O-ring technique. It's got roots in ancient cultures, in Indian practices, and it probably goes back thousands or millions of years, for all I know, back to the early stages of the human race anyway. So, but it's a very powerful and effective method. There are other techniques which are very similar. You can have a pendulum like this one. This is a pendulum, and it goes round, and if you can, once you get to use it, that's yes. Say you put it over your right knee, and what it does over your right knee is a yes, and when it goes over your left knee is a no, maybe. And anyway, and you can do this for yes and that for no, and all sorts of things. But I've been using one for 40 years, so it moves about a lot, and it appears that you're moving your arm, and you're actually doing it, but you're not. It's just coming through your nervous structure. You can have more fancy pendulums, like I've got a pendulum like this, which is still a pendulum, but it allows me more subtle measurements, really. So if I'm measuring the state of cancer in a person or any disease, I want to know out of 10 how they're doing. If 10 out of 10 is it's toxic, it's totally active and impossible, or totally maximum, and 0 out of 10 is not happening at all. And it's very handy when you're treating somebody to be able to measure the degree of the disease that they apparently got. Remembering that chronic diseases in the West is a false concept. It's not a disease because it doesn't have a germ behind it, a virus or a bacteria, like an acute disease. A chronic disease is a naming of symptoms in a cluster and giving it a specific, and believing that means something when it doesn't. Cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, these are not diseases. These are outcomes of a chronic problem, which is energetic. And that's what we're working on in this video to try and understand and to measure.